markets over the last several weeks, it might be volatile, and navigating market instability can be tough. So we brought in some extra help. We are happy to have Isabel Friedheim, founder and managing partner of Athena Capital here. Good morning to you. Appreciate you being here.
Good morning.
You know, before I even ask you to kind of make sense of all of the things we've been going through, you are the youngest woman to be a chairman of a publicly traded company in the United States. That is pretty amazing. So just tell us how you got into all of this.
It is, but I'm actually not that young, which is just says something about the number of women that we see in the boardrooms. So I got into this because I was lucky enough to bring a SPAC to market. I was in the private equity industry and had invested in companies and tech companies throughout my career. And through the SPAC, became the chairman of a publicly traded company, and then through the companies that we took public, that gave me that access. So I created a seat for myself, basically.
Well, thank you for being at the table. We appreciate it. Love to see you there. You know, yesterday was a good day for the markets. We saw a lot of green on our screens. We've been waiting to say that. Let's just put a pin in it and say that things stay on a positive track there. You said that this wouldn't even be a 3-month adjustment period to get things actually back on track, more like a 10-year period of adjustment. So how are you advising companies and investors at this point?
So when we look at the time that it will take the markets to adjust, we're looking at two different things. So one is, what is the time that we are going to see the IPO market recover? The other one is, what is the length of adjustment for this very deep transformation that we are undergoing as a nation and as a country? And the capital markets react in ways that can indicate short-term consequences, but there are deep, more fundamental long-term consequences as well.
Wow. So what do you tell people to do?
As an investor, if you are a retail investor, there's a lot of volatility, and volatility isn't necessarily bad in it by itself. It creates an opportunity to make money. As an investor taking companies public myself, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we are right now in a very unique period where there's no precedent for this. So it's really hard to predict. I can tell you that we, the industry, the venture capital, the private equity industry, the financial markets overall have been eagerly waiting for the IPO markets to recover, for companies to go public, and for retail investors to be able to access the growth that has been traditionally reserved for the last 20 years to the venture capital industry. Those returns in tech companies in particular have been hoarded by the venture capital industry. Retail investors want a piece of it. And so we are all eagerly waiting for the IPO market to recover, for the tech companies to go to market, and for retail investors to be able to access those investment opportunities and partake in those returns.
Yeah, that's a part of the opportunity that you spoke of there, that even in the turbulence, it can spell some opportunity for public and private markets.
Yes, an opportunity for retail investors. That said, not necessarily the same opportunity for IPO companies that are going to go through an IPO, because volatility isn't as good for an IPO. You want to know what valuation you're going to go at, what market, how the company is, or predict as much as you can. You can't know in advance, but predict how the company is going to perform and try to time it as well as possible so that you don't experience too much volatility after the IPO. And that can, in some cases, it can make or break a company, that early performance. So that's why the IPO market has been more active than it had been in 2022, 2023, and even 2024. But right now, things are a little bit on hold because of the uncertainty around tariffs, interest rates, geopolitical tensions. There's a lot that can affect the markets. So in the US, for now, things are a little bit on hold, but the early indication earlier in the year was that companies wanted to go public. There's a line of companies that have been waiting to go public for the last 5 years, and they are going to go public at some point when the markets stabilize.
Well, this might be their chance. All right, we appreciate you being here to kind of give us the inside scoop. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, 7:47, everybody.